Hi guys, I'm Jeremy, welcome back on my channel. Today I will show you how to make the beat for Niagara Falls Footer 2 by Boomin. This song features Travis Scott and 21 Savage, and the producers for the beat are Boomin, Anna Ritter, my best friend Jacob, that made the string loop that you can hear in the bridge, and then Peter Lee Johnson. So we got 4 producers. It's a really complex beat. It took a lot of time for me to make it, like 20 hours or something. And today I will try to explain you in the quickest way possible what I did to remake this beat. First thing, we have the synth for the intro. Is like a triangle flute with a lot of detune. I used this emulation of the Prophet 5 repro by UE, and I used this preset. I think I tweaked this preset a little bit, but I don't really remember what I did. A lot of detune with this knob, voice detune, and maybe I also modified the oscillator waves. By the way, if you got this VST, just open this preset and check out what knobs are in a different position, and you will know what I have tweaked. The intro synth is made by 2 layers. This was the first one. It sounds like this. I also had some FX from FL, so without any FX is just some reverb, some fruity chorus that is essential, and then we have a little bit of EQ and beat crush. Then we have the second layer. I use this preset. It's like a plucky one. A lot of cutoff, and it's just playing the same notes but 3 semitones down. So it's like out of scale, but it's just a layer in the background. So the intro melody sounds like this. Without the second layer, it sounds like this. Talking about music theory, all the beat develops around a simple chord progression in G Dorian scale. I will explain you why we are in Dorian in a minute. The chord progression we are talking about is a 1-5. We have a lot of tracks by Travis Scott that use the same progression. The first chord is a G minor and the second one is D minor. I can tell we are in Dorian and not in minor because Boomin is using this suspended 2 on the 5th chord. And as you can see, this note is not in the minor scale. This is the Dorian scale, and as you can see, the only things that is different from the minor one is the 6th grade that is brought up by a semitone. So every time you use this note in a minor scale, you're actually going in a Dorian scale. To make this melody sound a little more interesting, is also using a suspended 4 for the first chord and a 7th. The melody starts on the suspended 4, then we have the 3rd and the 5th, then we have the 7, then we have the suspended 2 for the 5th chord, the D is just the root note, and A is the 5th. And then we have this A sharp that is an augmented 5th for the 5th chord, and it's just a transitioning note to get back to the 1st chord. Then we have the piano that is arpeggiating the same chords. In this case we have a suspended 2 for the 1st chord, that is A. I'm using a piano from Labs. I'm playing this piano with the max velocity to smash the notes, and then I applied some isotope vinyl with a little bit of wear. A lot of wear. And what this knob does is just cutting the higher frequencies, so without it's like this. This is the G minor chord. As you can see, is using the 3rd, the 5th, the suspended 2 and the root note. For the 5th chord is starting on the 5th, then root note, 3rd and then 5th again. I put the piano melody in a slicer to use this attack feature to get like this cutting sound. Then we have a vocal chop, maybe from Arcade or Splice, I don't know, because I chopped this one from the original track. It was quite difficult to find this. Then we have the strings. This loop was made by my best friend Jacob. I also saw a video from him breaking down the sample. In the video you can clearly see he's using Contact, but he didn't really show the banks and the preset, so it was quite difficult to find a similar preset in Contact, because these are like classic strings, maybe a violin, a folk violin, maybe a fiddle. And as you know, Contact got like 1,000,000 bank for strings and violins, so it was really difficult to find a similar preset. I used the ethno word to try to recreate the sound, and the chords are always the 1st and the 5th chord of the scale. I think there are less notes in the original melody. The notes that really stands out from the chords are the A sharp, the G, the A sharp, the A, the F and the A, and then the C and the D. I put some format shifting on the strings, and this is the final result. Then we have a piano. I thought this was like a vocal chop or something like that, but in Jacob's breakdown I saw that he's using like a piano from a contact library named the Composer Toolkit. This type of banks are from Spitfire and they are made in collaboration with composers. So I've got like this bank that is a Composer Toolkit by Olafur Arnald. I don't know if you use this preset or this type of bank, because there are also 2 other banks I think that are Composer Toolkit, and as I said before, it didn't really show the presets and the bank. So the only thing that I saw was a name on the rendered track for the melody, just saying Composer Toolkit contact. This preset was quite similar, so I decided to use it, and I just cut a little bit of the release to have a pluckier sound and put some reverb on it with a sound shifter, because I shifted this melody 3 semitones down, because he said that maybe Metro Boomin pitched the loop up so to obtain the same sound for the piano, because in Contact you have like all the notes recorded singularly. The banks are deep sampled from the instrument, so every note you play you have like a different sound. Playing this melody in this way just sounded better, so I decided to leave it like this. Then we have a sine pluck with a little bit of delay. I used Serum to recreate this melody. So it's just a sine wave and I put some delay with this type of time. Then we have this modulation applied on the volume and the filter. And this is the melody. The last synth we got is this glitchy synth. This was quite difficult to recreate, even if the concept behind this glitch is quite simple, it's just like a gate. They may have used Portal or something like that. I used an effect track preset that is called Morse Code Crystals. We have the crystallizer that is just pitching the melody up by a octave, and then we have a tremolator just giving the gate feeling. So I recorded the synth and then I just chopped it to make it sound like the original one. These are the notes that is playing: the third of the first chord, the suspended 2, then the fifth of the second chord, and the third. Then we have the bass, is just a saw bass, so I used Serum. It's a super simple sound, just pick a saw wave and a sine wave and push them down by 2 octaves, apply a filter on the higher frequencies, and then a little bit of distortion and compression. And as you can see, we have a lot of variation in the bass, because he's also playing this note, that is the third note of the scale, so the progression for the bass in some cases is a little bit different from the root notes of the chords. Is using the root note of the first chord, the second note of the scale, the A, then the third note of the scale, A sharp, then the 7th note of the scale, and the 5th. And here we have just a 5th for the 5th chord that is using in the bass to create a little bit of variation with the root note also played on the higher octave. When the piano comes in, we have this different pattern, it's shorter. As you can see, he's also playing the 5th ear to make a variation in the bass. And here we have the He, the famous 6th grade of the Dorian scale, that is the suspended 2 of the 5th chord. We also have a glide on this bass, just put the sound in mono, legato, and then push this knob up. Then we have this other variation for the bass. Then we have this one. And then we have this other one where the notes aren't really on grid, they are a little bit off grid, as you can see. Then we have the drums. I chopped the snare and the hi-hat from the original track, so we got this rim shot playing on the 3rd beat, with this little variation on the 7 bar. Hi-hats playing this simple pattern on the off beats. This type of patterns can help to create more rhythm in the drums. Then we have a open net playing on the 1st and the 3rd beat of the 4th bar. Then the kick, classic rack kick. We have a lot of double hits, making the drums more bouncy. So we have a hit on the 1st beat, then one on the 4th beat, that is doubled by a hit on the off beat. Then we have another hit on the off beat, doubling the 1st hit of the 3rd bar. Then we have the same double hit as the 1st bar. And then we have a hit on the 2nd beat, and another one on the off beat after the snare. The only thing that changes on the other 4 bar of the pattern is just this double hit here. Then we have a reverse kick playing in the same position of the hi-hat. And this is the full beat. And then we have a switch up for the last part. It's always playing around the same chord, but we have a lot of different sounds. First one is like a whistle synth. I used a preset from Omnisphere, but you can recreate this in any synth because it's just a noise with a filter with a lot of resonance. So the secret behind a sound like this is just the resonance of the filter, because if I disable the filter, this is just a white noise. So it's the resonance of the filter that is making this sound tonal. Then I put some beat crushing, a crystallizer to add like a reverse ambient in the background. Then we have a reverb. Starts on the 3rd of the 1st chord, then we have a suspended 2 root note, and then it's just playing the chord in a descending way. Same thing here, is playing the root note as the 1st note, and then the same chord. Here we have the 5th chord, and then always the 5th chord, just with an inversion of the root note. We have a background sound. I use the piano from Repro. Then we have a harp mixed with a key, maybe a Wurlitzer, playing the same chord in the background with a different rhythm. So we have the 3rd and the 5th of the chords playing on the 1st beat of every bar, and then we have the root notes playing on the 3rd beat. I use this piano from Soul Session in Contact, then this Whirly from Labs, and then a harp from Contact. On the harp I put a fruity chorus to get this wider detune sound, and then a little bit of beat crushing. The last sound for the switch up is like a tremolo guitar or mandolin that is playing in reverse. I think I have used this preset from Ethno World, Koto, and the notes that is playing with this melody are just A sharp, A, F, and D. And we have a tom. I cut this one from the original track. And we have a kick. We also have a switch up for the harp and the keys. we have like a super saw and a brass slash string for the outro. I use this wood loop from Tape Orchestra Labs. We also have a switch up in the bass, is using a synth bass instead of 808. I use the same preset as the one I made for the 808 and I just applied some chorus to make it sound wider. So this is the final result for the last part. Hope you liked this video. This really took a lot of time to make. The remake took me like 17 hours. So if you want to support me, I will leave all my links in the description if you want to sub to my Patreon page to download the FLP. BeatStars if you want to buy my drum kits or my beats, and Instagram if you want to follow me. Bye and see you in the next video.